Hi everyone, it's Tangi from Papercrafting Australia. Welcome back to our last class for the October trial. Fingers crossed that we are broadcasting live on both Facebook and YouTube today. If everything goes west with our internet connection and it can't hold up to both streams, then we will transfer back to just YouTube. So you might need to jump back out, give us a couple of minutes and then jump back in. Crossing fingers, it all goes well. Yay for technology. So today we're up to our final class, and I hope everybody is ready to finish off with a bit of a bang. I know we've got 4 people watching at the moment. One of them is me streaming, so maybe 3. But as you know, you can re-watch these videos later on and go back through the processes if you don't catch it the first time or if you're not available for the lives. So today we are going to make just pop that on the screen, this lovely little treat box. So the image that I've got from, oh no, I don't have that one. That's okay. So this one, it's a little box that's got some lovely decorated sides. It's quite deep, and it also gives you the ability to, once you open it up without breaking it, because that's the bit that I find the absolute hardest. You can fill it with all kinds of goodies. I've just got some lint balls in there, and they were a gift that I got from some dance students last year, so they've been sitting in the cupboard waiting for me to crack into them. As a diabetic, I can't have too many of those at once, so they've been tucked away in a nice little hiding spot, and I've dug them out just for this today. So what you're going to need to get started is where you've got a box cut out. So that one's already partially folded. I'm just going to see if I can keep that little box in the corner. It is quite a big space project to work on today, so it might be a little bit hard for me to keep everything in camera shot, but I'll certainly do my best. So yes, so this one has already been partially pre-folded. If you ever get something that has been pre-scored like this card has, you'll notice that on one side the little score lines are raised, and on the other side the score lines are like a little valley. So the side that you want to fold up on is the one with the little raised section that you can feel. So you'll notice that some of your pages or parts will already have been folded in. And that's what you're going to need to continue to keep folding in those directions. So for this one, what we'll do before we get started is we'll just fold all of the little pieces in. So these 3 are already done, but you will need to fold this little tab on the left over and just give that a little bit of a rub with your finger. Now, if you've got a bone folder, this is just a replica of one, just looks like a little plastic knife. They can look in different colors, different shapes, things like that, but roughly that kind of thing. You can use the bone folder to just kind of crease that edge just a little bit more and make it nice and sharp. If you don't have a bone folder handy and you've got a butter knife, who doesn't have a butter knife in their drawer, as long as you use a smooth edge, so if you've got serrations, don't use that side because you'll end up with lines and marks and you'll probably tear your cardstock. But if you use the back edge, you can actually use that exactly the same as you've got with the bone folder. So what you'll need to do is just go ahead and score fold over and just burnish the backs of these sections. So you've got the 4 little flaps, which they form the little top flaps here. Once you've done those ones, open those out, and then what you're going to want to do is fold these 4, the next ones in, so the bigger ones, which then brings up the side of your box that you'll decorate. Burnish that with your bone folder, open that back out, turn it around, do the same with the next one, and so on and so forth until you get all 4 of those done. Okay, so that's all 4 of those done. You'll notice that your card does start to kind of crinkle up a little bit and it's starting to take shape. Now, with these little diagonal lines that you've got coming in on the corners, they will actually fold in the opposite way to how we've just mentioned. So if you just pop your finger in there, you should find that it will start to bend a little bit, and you can actually pinch that line so that it starts to kind of form up that shape. So just go and pinch all 4 of those in. Hello, Linda. I can't type at the moment, but I can see that you're in. Happy grand final public holiday / thank you day to all of our frontline workers here in locked down Melbourne. We don't have a grand final here this year. It's gone to Queensland. And I don't really care about the teams that are in there this year anyway. So I'm just having a public holiday. It's fantastic. Okay. So once you've got all of those kind of nice and creased, you should see that your box is starting to take shape. So you can actually kind of fold it in, and that's the finished product that you'll kind of end up with. Now, if you like, you can glue in between these two folds and then glue that fold across to one side of the box so that your box is very, very neatly kind of everything tucked away. You'll see in my example, I haven't bothered. I just find that a little bit easier to kind of pack things in and then crunch it all up. But that part of the process is totally up to you. It depends on how tightly you've folded things and how you prefer for it to be sat. So if you've got them all kind of glued in, you'll have a nice tight square box that these little flappy bits won't get in the way. Okay, so now that we've got those sections all folded, that's kind of the pre-part. Now we get into the fun part. So what you're going to do is just flatten everything out, fairly flat, doesn't have to be too perfect, and then flip it over because obviously you want to decorate the outside of your box. You can decorate the inside if you like, but the main aim of the game today is to decorate the outside. So what you'll have gotten in your kit are 4 of these little rectangular pieces. They're double-sided cardstock, so you can actually choose if you've got a nicer version of one than the other, then you can, pick and choose. You might want to have, 2 of each on there. You might decide that that's actually a nice part too, and so is this one, so you might, pop that up. Now, what I'll recommend while you're working on each of your sides is remember that this is actually the base of your card or your box. So when you're looking at things, if you're looking at it this way, this one is the right way up and this one is upside down. This one, once it's on its bottom, that way is up and this way is up. So what I'll be doing today, this is just a little tip that I use to kind of make sure that I'm working in the right direction, is just to always be working on this one, the one at the top. And then if I want to work on this one, I'll just rotate it so that I can then be working on this one facing up. And then I'll know that when I start sticking on little things like our little sentiment strips, I'm not going to flip my box upside down later and find that I've put it on upside down. Rookie mistake, but we've all been there, we've all done it. Okay, so also in your box today, you're going to have a red glitter card disc, and that is, as you can see from the example, that's to pop onto the top. I've got one of these circles, which is the pattern paper cardstock left over from one of my gift tags. So if you've got any leftover pieces, by all means bring those out. You can decorate and go crazy on this. I've also got a little piece of the red stripy cardstock from our first card in week 1. I've got a bunch of stickers and things left over from things. I've got, what else have I got in here? Oh yes, a couple of my little hollies and berries. And, oh look, let's just tip this upside down and make a real mess of it. I've got some of the little pieces of paper that I cut out of wrapping paper, Christmas wrapping paper, more stickers. Got one of my white pieces of card from one of my gift tags that I didn't use, and another, I've got a large circle, which is the sentiment circle for stamping on this week, and I've got a leftover one, which I think was the spare one from the bauble card. So again, all of those kind of pieces you could use, depending on what you like. I've got a little strip of the glitter card sticker that we used last week, all kinds of bits and pieces. So that's what we're going to use to kind of decorate the outside of our box. So it's going to be pretty, pretty tailored to whatever you want to make it this week. But we'll go through and just decorate the sides first, and then we can finish up on the top. Okay, actually, no, I tell a lie. There is a little something that I made earlier, which was, instead of this lovely little piece of paper ribbon raffia, which is I remember telling you in week 2 when we did gift tags to keep one of the paper raffia ribbons. So if you've got one of those, they're a little bit tricky to get started, but you'll just need to kind of tug at it a little bit and pull it apart, and then you can just use your fingers to unfurl that and flatten it out. Now you don't have to do this. I've also made just a little bit earlier today. I thought I'll have a look at making something different, which is just a little, oh gosh, now I've lost the word for it. It'll come back to me. Rosette. There you go. Didn't take too long. It's not 3 o'clock in the morning yet. So I've also made something like that, which, could be something different to, attach your sentiment to at the top. Kind of looks a little bit like you've won a prize at the show. So if you want to make this one, what you'll need to do, I'll just show you super quickly, is you could use your white wrapping paper, or you could use this brown paper that you got. That was your paper bags that your kit pieces came in. So what I've done is I've just measured a 9 centimetre section across, and this is the full length of that paper bag. Just cut that 9 centimetre strip down. And this is something that is going to take you a little while to do, so don't panic if you're not following along. It's the adornment for the top, so you can do it later. It just needs to be glued and held for a little while, so I'm going to start with it now. So if you fold that lengthways in half, and then from the end, if you'd go kind of about, I don't know, it depends how tall you want it really, because that's the the depth of these little folds. If you go somewhere between sort of a centimetre, you should have roughly a good kind of height. It's not going to be too high or too short. So you just flip that over and fold that back on the other side. Flip this over, fold back on the other side, and you get the drift. You're going to go all the way along to the end of there. So I'm going to try and do that fairly quickly. Sharon, you're trying to watch Facebook and YouTube at the same time. You are crazy. I've got my phone doing the overhead camera at the moment. I've got my Mac computer doing the live streams, and that's hooked up to my studio system and going to Facebook and to YouTube. And I've also got my iPad connected just off the side here so that I can see that we're broadcasting live on Facebook, because that was my worry one. I know that I can see the YouTube one. It was the big unknown of adding Facebook to the mix today. So if I can pull this off, then I've kind of done pretty well at the trial and managed to kind of get all of my ducks in a row. So we're nearly at the end of this piece of brown paper. Almost there. Da, da, da. I need some thinking music, crafting music. Foldy fold. All right. Nearly. Done. Beautiful. So once you get to the end of that, you can actually see that you've made like a nice little concertina there. This just saves you having to fold it twice. So you'll then open this out, grab your little craft scissors, and just snip down that center line that you had the fold so that you can make 2 sections that are the same, presumably. Beautiful. That's that done. Okay, so what I'm going to do before we actually go through and stick this together and kind of make it, I am just going to fold that up and grab my scissors. I'm just going to cut a little corner off, just a little triangle off the edge. And what that does is that'll be your outside edge. So when you open it up, it's a nice star shape, kind of pointy edges. I didn't do it on this one initially, so it's just, you can cut them off or you cannot cut them off. It's totally up to you. What's that? Oh, sticker. Oop, my bin's so far away today. So once you've done that, do that with the other one. So fold that all up. I'm going to pop this one next to it so I can kind of get them roughly the same. It's a bit of a thick, hard cut, so hopefully your scissors are nice and sharp and you've got good ones. Okay, so now that you've got these two nice little rosettes, what we're going to do is take our, we're going to get a little piece of, where have I put it? Just a little piece of your brown paper. So that one's, I don't know, 4 or 5 centimetres in each of the directions sort of thing. And that's what we're going to stick this down to. So line them up so that you've got both of the jagged edges facing the same way. And then with your little white glue, liquid glue, just run just a small amount. You don't need a lot. It's brown paper. It'll stick really easily. So line that up at the bottom there and just hold that down so that you've stuck those two together. Just give it a few seconds. If you haven't put too much glue, it'll dry really quickly. Then what you're going to do is do the same with the other end here. Now this is sometimes a little bit trickier and I'm probably going to have things flying all over the place. If you've got a clothes peg from the washing line, this can also be really helpful because you can glue that together and then you can just use the clothes peg to hold that tight for you for a second. So pick a side that you're going to glue. Tiny little bit of glue on there. Pop that edge on and just match up the bottoms there. You kind of want those to be pretty even, and I know I'm doing this so that I can kind of see what I'm doing, but I am going to try and give you a look. So just to line this edge up here and that edge up there, give that a little bit of a squeeze and then just let that dry. You can pop the cap back on your glue off camera. Okay, so we'll just give that a few seconds there to dry. See if I can find them, the edges. Okay, now with your glue, just pop a little bit in a little bit of a zigzag kind of pattern on the scrap piece of paper that you've popped down. Oh no, that's going to be fun. I've just glued my work surface, so I don't want anything else sticking to that, so I'll just quickly, it's going to be a bit tacky, clean up that mess. Okay, so come back glued piece. Now what you'll do is turn this little rosette piece in until you've kind of got it making a bit of a circle. So you can, it's easier if you lay it on your work surface so that you can flatten that out. And then just muck around with any of the naughty ones that have decided to do their own thing. Grab a section of it so that you can pick it up and pop it down onto that brown piece of paper with the glue on it. Fan it out a little bit so that it's fairly even if you can. And then so that you can work on some other stuff in the middle, grab your acrylic block and just pop that down. Just try and get all of those little pieces to sit nicely in the middle. And then just pop that aside so that you can work on some other things. Cool? Excellent. If you don't do this part, it's no big deal. You can use your raffia ribbon and you can make this kind of configuration that we've got, and I'll do that one a little bit later so that you can all see. Okay, so tipping all my little extra pieces aside, pop that aside. How much swearing is allowed, Sheridan? As much as you like. I know there are a couple of younger people who are joining us on the stream, so I won't be swearing, and definitely the first one I did earlier today was definitely a little bit sweary, so see how you go. Sharon, your bandwidth is struggling. Oh, because you're trying to watch both streams at once. I have had to ask my partner to not watch anything on Netflix while I do today's stream, just so that we can make sure that we're holding up. Okay, so let's start decorating the outside of our box. So if you've found one one that you like better than the other. I'm going to do one of everything out of my designs because I think I've got, you know, that's a relatively nice one of those. Presents, that one. What have I got a choice between? I think I'll go with this one. Cool. So again, just a little bit of glue on the back. And I'm just going to stick that one down. So again, working on this top one so that it's facing upwards. There's a little bit of a gap around each of these rectangles to fit in the rectangle. So that's just to give it a nice little border. If we'd had red cardstock or another colour, you'd see that colour coming through. It's going to rotate to the next square. Now, I don't know, I mean, holly kind of does and doesn't have a right way up, I guess. But make sure whatever way you're going, this way is up, heading to the top of your screen. Bit more glue. Now I'm using the white glue on this one because this card is a little bit heavier. It's not just paper. So I want to make sure it can get a really good stick. Okay, just smooth that one down. Rotate, work on the next one. Next one is going to be my presents. Bit of glue. Okay. Flip that one. And that's, again, that liquid glue gives you just the ability to kind of, just for a second or two, give it a little bit of a wiggle to get it into place if you didn't quite get there right the first time. Rotate my piece again. And, oops, whoa, nearly lost it. And stick that one down. Awesome. Now again, if you want to decorate the bottom of your box, totally up to you. If you don't, this is perfectly fine. Cool. All right, so the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to add some more bits and pieces to these little panels. So what I've got, and what I'll do is I'll kind of lay a few things out. I've got some stickers and things that might go with what we're trying to do. My holly leaves, I want to save those for that little bit for the top. But I do have some little sparkle strip that I could use. You could use a bit like this or a bit of your ribbon to go around your box a little bit. The other thing as well, if you don't like your pictures or you don't like all of the pictures, you could actually use your rectangle shapes before you've glued them down to cut some of your pre-stamped brown paper. So you cut that down to a little demo. Let's see if we can get roughly the right size. Or you could do some fresh stamping onto your tissue paper and you could get a similar kind of make your own background type of thing. Just eyeballing this, don't shoot me for doing messy cutting. Oh yeah, it's very messy. But you could, do that kind of thing or measure up the full sides if you want it to go all the way to the side, and you can decorate the sides of your boxes with that kind of paper. I'll go back to things that I think I'm going to put together. I've got a couple of those kind of leaves there. I've got a Santa and a Christmas tag cut out that I could possibly stick him over the top of that, and that could go somewhere nice. I've also got these little circly pieces. Now on my original example I used those circles I cut them down and just pop them onto this part. It's totally up to you. Just play around and see what you've got and see where you would like things to go. I've also got one of those beautiful little bells that I could put somewhere as well. Oh, so many options, so many things. And we've also got our black sentiments, so we can go from there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shush for a little bit, and I am going to put some of these things together and show you what I come up with while you play with yours. So I think I'm going to choose my sentiments first. I think I'll go around the box. I might do have yourself a merry little. Maybe the big Christmas. Lots of options. I think on the example one I used Jingle All the Way and Holly Jolly, and I just stuck them onto the, I only did 2 sides on the example. I cheated. Christmas, and then because I've got treats in here, I might pop a warmest wishes on there, just for fun. Now your sides don't all have to look the same. You don't have to put a sentiment on every side. You can just do what suits you. And that will go that way if I put it up the right way. Okay, now we'll start layering some things. That one might go a little bit further over. And just once you're ready, anything that's not a sticker, just pop a little bit of glue on the back. And I'm sure you're all often racing and putting things together. This one's really about being creative and putting things wherever you would like them to be. I'm not going to tell you how to do it. I could put, kind of fits. Just neaten this little guy up. Don't forget to save some spots for some of your gems and jewels. Bit of glue. Oh, stuck. If you don't have glue on your fingers by the end of this one, you haven't done it right. There we go, a merry little. I figure this is kind of like the holly leaves. Put a couple of those there. Pop that one there. And I'm just going to cover that Christmas with this Christmas. Nothing that says that you have to use the words that are on there. Make sure this is big enough. cover it. Oops, just needs a little bit more off the bottom. Hope you're all talking to yourself while you're trying to decide what to put where. Oops. Okay. That's side number 3, sort of taken care of. You've seen this little guy everywhere. I really want to put him on something. So I think he might end up here today. Cool. A little reindeer. Cute. A little bit of glue on the back of this paper. It's pretty thin, so it might have been better to use the glue stick, but too late now. Probably going to have a bit squish out over here. Let's see what happens. Yay, success. My little guy. Awesome. So really from here, all I need to do is pop some gems onto those side pieces. And I might just wait a little bit to do that because I'm going to be playing with the box while we kind of put it together and put the tops on. So I don't really know how many I want to have. So it's starting to look kind of cute. So I've got my warmest wishes on the side there. Got have yourself, a merry little, and then Christmas. So that's all you really need to do. You don't have to go to town with your decorations or anything like that. Just something, you know, simple, a couple of little elements on there. It doesn't have to be too crazy. But of course, if you are the person that likes to go crazy, go nuts. This is your project, you do you. All right, what I'm going to do is I'll just pop that aside for a moment because I'm going to work on my topper to go up onto the top of the box once we're finished. Now you'll see that on my example I did a few little stamps on here. Now that's because when I put that down it kind of looked a little bit bare, but realistically what I just needed to do was go in and put maybe some extra, oops, tuck that under there, some extra coloured paper or something just to stick out. It doesn't need to be a huge piece of paper because it just really needs to be attached underneath here and just stick out and cover that. But it's up to you. If you want to do something like stamping on the top of yours, which again is perfectly okay, just make sure that you do it while your box is flat. Don't try and stamp it once it's up in the air. It's going to be a bit tricky. Cool. So to make the one exactly the same as this one, all you need to do is take your circle that fits just inside the red sparkly glitter paper, and I'm going to grab a little piece of scrap paper that I can stamp on for this. Clean up a few little loose bits that I've got floating around. Bits like this. So take that one. You can probably, now's a good time to take your acrylic block off your rosette. It should have kind of stuck to that, and so that can be used to kind of hold it all together. Right, so I've got this little circle, hard to see white on white, should have got a black piece of paper. And I used the Merry Christmas stamp on here, but if you want to make sure that it's going to fit, you can, benefit of having these clear stamps is that you can actually just lay that straight onto your cardstock and go, yeah, that's going to fit, so that's fine. If I'd had, say, here's my smaller piece, this piece, I'll pop it up on here because it might be easier to see, and I decided to put Merry Christmas on, it's a really tight fit and it actually just pops off the edge on this side. If I'd had a much bigger stamp, it wasn't going to fit. So you can use those stamps to just kind of see how they're kind of looking. Flip that over, so I've got my lines there. Squish it down so that that attaches. I'm just going to pop the lid back on my glue because I've noticed I've left that off. Great. Flip it over. I am going to ink today in red because I did the black example one. So here we go. Don't forget, if you haven't used your stamp before, as in the actual one that you're going to make the impression with, just give it a bit of a rub with your fingers and or a cloth, just to get off any of the manufacturing goo that stays on there, and it means that then you won't get a nice sharp print. So I've just done a bit of a test one just to make sure that I've got enough ink on there and it's going to come out the way I would like it to. Pop plenty of ink on there for me. Flip it over. Line it up so that everything's inside the circle and then just push down, give it a firm squish, lift it up, and there we go. So before all that ink dries and goes really crusty on my acrylic block, I'm just going to take a baby wipe and just give that all a bit of a clean. The stamp, the ink block, my fingers. You know you've been crafting when you've got the inky fingers. All right, take that off. Give that block a really good wipe down. Red and black really like to stain things, so it's always good to just give them a really good going over. And then same with your stamp. Just give it a good rub. All right. Got no new comments on the YouTube feed, so I'm guessing everybody is keeping themselves very, very occupied with sticking things together, which is great. All right, pop the stamps away. What is that? Something. Cool. So now that you've got your sentiment stamped, you can glue that on. Again, you'll need liquid glue to glue that one onto the sparkly paper because the glue stick just won't hold. It's not tough enough. Now I'm going to change it up a little bit today because I've still got this leftover thing from one of our previous kits. I'm just going to pop that one on. And no, I tell a lie. I'm not going to use it. Go back to this little guy. Let's go. Glue. I'll change my mind like the weather here in Melbourne. That's okay. We're being creative. We're allowed to change our minds. Very busy. Very busy catching up, Sharon. Okay. Just going to glue that one into there. Now, because I saved these little leafy bits off one of my previous projects, I'm going to use that. Now, who was it that did it? Rachel Crollig, I think it was you who did this on your card that we did this for the wreath, is just where the little perforation is down the middle. Rachel just did a little bit of a bend so that they became a little bit more three-dimensional. So I really like that idea, so I'm borrowing it, stealing it, and I did give you credit. I'm going to stick those on down there just so they've got a little bit of dimension, and then I can maybe pop a holly berry in there. I probably only need one. Again, if you've got a stamp that you've used that's maybe a little bit smaller and doesn't fill that white space, you might decide that you want to, you know, add a sticker. You might have, what do I have, that little round one could go there. Anything that you've got. I had this little red one that could stick there, and you might write the person's name on it or something. Whatever you please. Put that away, that away. So much junk on my space. Okay. Bit of glue on the back of here. And finish off with my little holly berry. And that's my little topper that I'm going to put on the top of this one today. What else would I like to do? Okay, so if you wanted to make the same top as what is on the example one there, all I did was just kind of give this a bit of a measure. It worked out to about halfway on the raffia that you needed to cut. So what I'm going to do, because I want to make, so you can see it's already kind of rough cut on each end, but I want to do sort of the same thing on the other end. So just scrunch that up a little bit and just do like we did with the little rosettes, is just chop a little corner off, pop those little bits away, and when you open it up, it's kind of, mostly cut your pieces in half. I just need to trim those, but it's also giving you a bit of a rough edge there as well, so it doesn't look so perfect. So once you've done that, if you want to, you can glue those behind. You might want to do them crossways like this. You might want to do it on the angle the way I did. I did it on the angle because it actually hid these little join lines in the top and just made it look a little bit more like a, you know, a fully closed box that you couldn't get the lid off. So if that's the way you want to go, and you might have another piece of paper, or you might have, you know, a little piece of the brown that you want to put in as well. It's just a matter of flipping that over and just layering it up. So pop a little bit of glue down, pop that one on, a little bit of glue down this way, pop that one on, and then if you've got, say, an extra piece here, which would go that way, but for this example, chop it off kind of here, glue underneath it, and just layer it up until you've got all the layers that you think you would like to have all the way around there. You can just have one layer. You can decide not to have a layer if you want, and you're just going to pop that straight on top of your box. That's totally fine as well. If this is too much hard work, then it's fine. Okay, so I'm going to put those aside because I'm not actually going to use those on my example today, or that. I'm just going to glue mine directly onto my rosette, and then that will sit on top of my box. So to do this, just have a bit of a look about how far around this goes, and then what you're going to want to do is run a little bit of glue along a couple of these spines, just to give that rosette something to stick to, and hopefully it'll stay. There's always a risk with paper craft that you'll do your best, but it still won't hold, and then you just have to try something else. Okay, so I am going to pop my rosette on there in the middle, grab my handy acrylic block, and just pop that down so that I don't have to sit there with my finger on it for a while that plays out. Cool. Okay, I'm just going to pop the example over here, bring back my box. So once you think you've decorated all of the outside as much as you want to, maybe put your gems on last, because there is a lot of fiddling around with this while you kind of get it finished. Okay, so what I've got is I've got a little piece of my tissue paper that came out of my first, out of the kit. Give that a little bit of a scrunch and pop that just in the bottom, just as a little bit of a bed for somewhere to go. Okay. And then pretend that these are extremely homemade, lovely decorated and iced Christmas cookies that you've baked. Pop those into that nice little bed that you've got there. Terrific. And then you can fold up your corners. Now you'll need 2 that go across, and then those little smiley face mouths just lock in together. They are a little bit tricky, but once you've done it once or twice, they go pretty well. Then fold up the other sides, and this is where it gets a little bit harder because these are quite tight. But if you are gentle, you'll be able to get that into place. Now, I don't recommend locking these together until you're ready to properly seal the box, because your recipient is probably going to tear that open. They're not going to really know how to get under it. It is a bit of a design flaw with this particular box. If you don't want to kind of go down that path, you could put one of your, where has mine gone? One of the little foam squares onto, how far across does it go? You can put it just past the little smiley, and this might, once you, and then we do the favourite job of taking the backing off, and then just pop that down. You can stick that down like that, and that means that there's probably a little bit less that people are going to tear while they're trying to get into your lovely gift that you've done. Then if you take your rosette, take the acrylic block off. Oh, it hasn't stuck. It needs longer. But you guys know the drill. You'll flip that over once it's all stuck together, pop a bit of glue just on one section, because again, you're going to need to pop that open. So don't go gluing the entire back of this. Maybe just put a bit of glue where you know you can kind of get to here. And then that's not sticking properly at all. And then glue that down. Surprise! I'll just tuck mine together so that it will stay together while we're showing that. There we go. So once that is glued together, we might even need to go hot glue on that, I don't know. Stick that together, and then you've got your finished Christmas box with your nice little goodies inside, ready to give to someone for Christmas. So if anyone would like more of these little boxes, I'm absolutely happy to take some orders for them. Just need to shoot me an email to info@papercraftingaustralia.com, and I will get some of those through to you. So I do want to show you a couple of things really quickly before I sign off for the last time for the trial, because it's pretty exciting. I've been working on some of the bits and pieces that I would be looking at bringing out for 2021. So this is just a mock example. It's not exact, it's not finished yet, but this is what's called an easel card, and I've put a little, there's a full calendar of 2021 from January through to December on there. It flat packs, so it's something that you could make for someone and pop it into a regular card envelope and post that off. But when your recipient gets it, they can actually unfold it, sit it up, and this would be a selection of post-it notes. So that would be quite thick there, and it will actually sit and hold for you. So that's one of the projects that we've got. I've got a card that I've designed. Now this is just using some paper piecing or using scraps. So just some small little strips, and this is a great way to use up any scrap cardstock that you've got. So it's really good to show this one as the first example for maybe the first kit that we bring out, so that as people go along and they kind of collect a little bit of a, rather than throwing out paper and cardstock, keep it in a shoebox or something like that, and then every now and again when you've got enough, you can go through and use up those on a card. The first kit that I'm looking at doing is a black and white theme, so this isn't to say that you can't then make other projects in different colours with these. So I haven't chosen stamps and designed that yet, but that's a place where we will be able to put a bit of a sentiment. So there's a little bit of shimmer and shine in that one. I've got, and that's just a technique that you'll learn. So part of the process for the new kits will be learning some more techniques and building on those as you go along, as well as building a supply of ink pads and different colours and things like that. This one, just a little thank you card that I've done. This little background is what we like to call the smushing technique. And it's basically spraying some water onto some ink that you've smushed onto a non-porous surface, so a piece of acetate or piece of glass, your acrylic block, and then this is actually watercolour paper that we've used, and then just a little die cut thank you to go on the top, but everything's nicely edged and bordered, and there's a couple of little embellishments now there, like a liquid pearl, and so they are kind of like a little glue, and it comes out, that comes in all different colours and shimmery effects and things, so that's also a nice one. This watercolouring effect is very, very popular at the moment. Think about it when you mix a few colours together and things like that. Now, coming up to Christmas, everybody's going to be doing gift cards. This is a gift card holder. So it fits all standard kind of credit card kind of shapes. You just slide off the little belly bands that you'll make, open it up, and there's your little gift card. So it actually does sit quite three-dimensionally when it's on a flat surface. And we can also tailor these little sections on the inside so that if you wanted to write a nice greeting to someone, Merry Christmas, Happy Birthday, thanks for looking after the babysitting the kids, anything like that, you can pop your little gift card in there, and people can use that as a nice way to jazz up a pretty boring gift where gift cards are a little bit like, I couldn't really think of anything for you or whatever. So yeah, that's a nice way to kind of make that a little bit more special and a little bit more personalized. So that's a couple of the projects that I would be looking to roll out in the first kit. So I just wanted you guys to have a little bit of a look at that and see what that's going to look like, and go from there. And then there's our Christmas ones that we've done for today. So I'll just jump back to, where am I going? To lovely me. Oh, I'm a bit pooped after that one. So I know you won't all have finished that one just yet, but by all means take your time, create and play with it, pop some music on in the background, and get into the Christmas spirit, and think about who you're making your little kit for, your little box, and what you're going to put inside it, whether it's some cookies or some little chocolates, might be some jewelry, who knows. It's kind of versatile. Well, I do want to say thank you to everybody for participating in the 4 sessions that we've had and the surveys that come afterwards. There'll be a survey going out again this afternoon. It is a little bit longer, and the reason for that is that I'm kind of looking at not just what was this week like, but also what was the full 4 weeks like. So if you haven't done all 4 weeks yet, it would be so amazing if over this weekend you could jump in and catch up on those. Remember to post your photos to our Facebook page, and there'll be an album going up this afternoon for you to post today's project to. Just to add a comment in that album with your photo and go from there. Try not to, if you can, post it to my wall or post it to other places. It kind of gets a little bit lost and it's hard to keep them all in track. So the survey will come out. So there'll be some questions about this week. There'll be questions about the whole 4 weeks. And then there'll also be some questions about some of the things that I'm thinking about rolling out for next year. Now, supplies and things like that and shipping at the moment is really difficult, so I'm not sure if I'm going to meet my deadline of trying to get this launched in November, but certainly I'll be pushing for as soon as I can to get that going, and whether or not that means that there'll be maybe a gift card kind of situation that I can send out to people who purchase, but they might not receive the kits until early January. It might just buy me a little bit of extra time to order those supplies in and get everything finalised. So fingers crossed that works well. Keep an eye on our social media accounts. So Facebook is the biggest one. YouTube, I might pop in with an extra class or something from time to time. So if you've subscribed and hit the little notification bell on YouTube, you'll get a notification if I do decide to pop in and give you a little bit of an extra freebie, or maybe have a look at some of the other projects as I develop those for the kits. Normally there would be 4 cards and 2 3-dimensional projects that are done in those sessions. So I've still got 2 more cards to design, and I've got a few little ideas up here. So I'll get through to those in the next little bit. So you might find those posted to Facebook and YouTube. Keep an eye out. We will be adding some more stuff to our online shop, so papercraftingaustralia.com. Again, waiting on supplies to get here before we can actually put them into the shop. But if you're after a pair of good scissors, a bone folder, some of the glues and tapes that we've been using throughout the class, they will be available for you to purchase. So if you want some bits and pieces for that. I've also got some cardstock and some ink pads in stock, but again, lots of things coming in to stock that up. But other than that, I just want to say, really, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for making the time to trial the products, to give me some feedback. The feedback that some of you have been giving is incredible. Much better than a yes or a no answer. The long text boxes give you the opportunity to kind of give me some really good feedback. It is anonymous, so go to town on it. Nothing that I've read so far I've taken to heart. It's all been really good at kind of giving me an idea of what it looks like from your side of things as a potential customer. It's great to have known that I needed to cut down on the words maybe to not talk so much or talk so fast, slow things down a little bit. I'm still trying to get things into under an hour, because we've found that anything that kind of goes longer than an hour, people get a little bit distracted from. Most people need extra time to finish off the projects anyway. So please don't ever think that you have to finish it all off. The whole point of putting it online is that you can watch it back later and, be able to kind of stop and start and, figure out little things that maybe you missed in the first one. So you don't always have to follow along and do it exactly in time. It's not really expected. But just double checking, yes, Amy, you do love colour, just in the comments. Amy, for anyone who knows, is very much a rainbow person. From her hair to her clothing, I love it. You can always find Amy in a crowd. Excellent. So thank you everybody for doing what you've got. I made scrap rainbow strip cards with the grandchildren. Oh yes, the scrap cards, these little ones that we did earlier. Sharon's just said she made those with her grandkids, my nieces and nephews, and they did a fantastic job of it. It's super simple. Lay a bit of glue down, stick the strips on, trim it around the edges. Happy days. So hopefully there'll be lots of opportunities for a broad range of people to be able to join in the next lot of classes. So keep your eye out, spread the word about Papercrafting Australia, and let people know that we are here and that there will be products coming and that you had such a fantastic time. If you're happy to leave a review on the Facebook page, I would absolutely love you for doing that, just to make the business kind of, new businesses don't often look legitimate until there's a few reviews and lots of comments. So anything that you can do to kind of boost that up and make us look like we've been here forever, even though we're quite new, would be great. Anyway, love to see you all again shortly with some new classes. But for now, thank you so much. Bye-bye.